Okay, the practice test we took today, this is Tuesday the 24th, and today we took a little practice test for those kids that were gone, especially in my 5th hour. I had a fair number of kids gone. Here's what we had. Oops, I just hit the wrong button there. We have a practice test, and here are the answers for problems 1 through 6. They are posted on the same spot where you normally get your answer keys for worksheets. I'm going to talk you through the common mistakes people make. On number 1 here on the practice test. Well, first thing is you got to split it into 2 parts. That's the main point of this problem, is split it into 2 equations and solve both of them. On number 2, you got to notice that on a quadratic you want to set it equal to 0. You see how the teacher ends up getting this set equal to 0? And then you can usually factor it. We usually give you problems that can factor. If it is a quadratic formula one, double check yourself, because it's rare that we use the quadratic formula. We use it sometimes, but it's rare. So usually if you think, oh, this thing can't factor, you probably did something wrong, okay, because it usually can factor. All right, again, that's not to say you won't ever see it, it's just rare. Okay, next thing, on number 2, it's really easy to forget that once you get the answers, kids just stop right there. Like, there are my 2 answers, but you've got to do the number line thing. And like I told you before, the most common mistake on this test you're going to take tomorrow will be kids will have the right 2 points right there, and they will test the intervals wrong. They will check an area, and they'll shade. Like, once they check this and they think it works, they shade it in and they quit and they're done. And they shaded the wrong area. You got to check and make sure. I double check my intervals because kids so often screw those up. Okay. Next piece of advice, look at number 3 there. On number 3, you'll actually notice this teacher didn't get rid of the 2, the person that made this key. Listen, please. They squared both sides right there. You can do that. You can square it any time you want to. I just think it would have been a little easier if you had divided by -2 on both sides, and this 6 divided by -2 would be -3, and the -6x squared divided by 2 would be positive, not squared, sorry. That would be positive 3x. So anyway, I personally would have used -3 plus 3x and then multiplied it out from there. But either way, the answers are this. Okay, common mistakes on number 5. Please stay quiet, guys. We're almost done here. And you're hearing good tips about how not to screw up your test. On number 5, this one is really easy to mess up. It's really easy because you don't even notice that there's something wrong. As soon as you set this thing so that this part's alone, then you got to notice if it ever is asking you to do something impossible. Can an absolute value ever be negative? No. And if you would have gone on from here and got 2 answers, you probably would have never noticed that it wasn't going to work. All right. Then the last thing I'm going to remind you about here is if it's ever really brutal to factor like this, look for something to cancel, like come out of everything. 2x comes out of everything here, and then all of a sudden it's not as hard to factor. Last couple thoughts on this. If this says x cubed, that means that you've got 3 answers. Look, 1, 2, 3 answers. If they're x squared, you got to set it equal to 0, and it usually factors, and you get 2 answers. But if it's cubed, it'll have 3 answers. So don't forget this front one is an answer. And then the last thought on this is, remember how I've warned you, a lot of times we have sneaky ones where they don't actually work. Which kind of problem should you have really closely checked them? Profile these problems. Which one was it where you really should have looked at it closely to make sure that the answer worked? The square root one, yes. And there it is right there. On number 3, you should double check those answers because it's likely one of them, when you actually plug it in, won't actually get you the right answer. Now, I know it's a pain to check them, but I'm warning you, this year, a few things get people on tests. They forget plus and minus. They just screw up negatives in general. And a lot of people forget to check their answers, and then one of them turns out to be extraneous. Okay, so watch for that. All right. Those are my tips. This is the practice test. This is located in with the homework and answers. There's a blank one there. If you were gone and you didn't get a chance to take this, try it without looking at all these answers first. All right, that's all I got for today's little video. and tomorrow you'll be taking the test. If I am gone, which I think I probably will be, just do your best, and we'll see how you did on Thursday.